When my husband asked for a divorce after 16 years of marriage, I didn't argue. I quietly agreed and signed the papers. That same night, he went out to celebrate with his girlfriend at our favorite restaurant. I walked up to their table with a smile. "Congratulations on your freedom," I said as I slid an envelope across the table. His smile disappeared the moment he looked at what was inside: DNA test results. What destroyed my marriage wasn't a fight or a loud argument. It was quiet. It was the shock of realizing the truth. I remember the exact moment. I was standing in our walk-in closet, holding Adam's dress shirt in my shaking hands. It was Friday, 8:20 a.m. The twins were at school. Jessica was at her piano lesson. I was gathering clothes for dry cleaning when I noticed Adam's gym bag behind his shiny dress shoes. The zipper was slightly open. I peeked inside and saw the wrinkled shirt he said he wore to an emergency surgery the night before. But the stain on it wasn't from any medical work. No doctor would wear that bright red lipstick into an operating room. Before we move on to more of Linda's shocking discovery, I want to invite you to join our storytelling community. If stories about strength, betrayal, and women taking back their power inspire you, please hit subscribe. It's completely free and helps us keep sharing more stories like this. Now, let's see how Linda's perfect life started to fall apart. My heart was racing. I stood frozen as 16 years of marriage suddenly made sense because of one shirt. Dr. Adam Thompson, a respected heart surgeon, my husband, and the father of our 3 kids, had another woman's lipstick on his clothes. Everything I believed in broke apart like glass shattering on the floor. For years, his co-workers called us the perfect Thompsons. He was the talented doctor with steady hands. I was the loyal wife who stood by him through it all. Our beautiful home in APD Automation, with its green lawn and white fence, looked like something from a movie. At hospital fundraisers, he'd hold me close and say, "Linda makes it all possible," while raising a glass of champagne. The other doctors' wives would smile politely, but I could tell they were jealous. We seemed to have it all: 3 wonderful kids, a safe life, and a strong marriage that had survived the long years of medical school, residency, and Adam's successful career. Or at least, that's what I believed. Looking back now, I should have noticed the warning signs. Adam started coming home later, saying the hospital didn't have enough staff. He played golf more often on the weekends, saying it was with coworkers. Our talks became shorter and only about practical things, like the kids' schedules, what we needed around the house, and planning events to help his career. When Adam was promoted to chief of cardiac surgery last spring, I threw a big party to celebrate. I invited all his colleagues. He smiled and thanked me in front of everyone, but later that night, he said I had embarrassed him in front of the hospital board. That night, he slept in the guest room. He said he was just tired. "It's just the pressure," I told my sister the next day over the phone. "This promotion comes with a lot of stress. Men change when they get power, Kathleen," she warned me. But I brushed it off. I thought she was just bitter because of her own failed marriage. Adam also started pulling away from me physically. He said he was tired from working 20-hour surgeries. When he turned away from my touch, I tried to bring the romance back. I bought new clothes, planned date nights, and followed all the tips in women's magazines to keep our love alive. But he didn't seem to care. He would go through the motions without interest and kept checking his phone during the nights I planned so carefully. "Is everything okay between us?" I asked one night, after he barely ate the meal I cooked, his favorite. "I'm just tired, Kathleen. The Jenkins case is tough," he said. Then he would disappear into his home office, shut the door, and talk in a low voice on the phone late into the night. I always believed in trust. I believed in giving people space. I never thought of checking his phone or email. That felt like something insecure or jealous women did, not me. I was Linda Thompson, the perfect wife. But as our 16th anniversary came closer, I wanted to surprise him. I planned a romantic weekend in Healdsburg, where we had gone for a honeymoon. I needed to check his schedule, so I thought I'd quickly look at his calendar while his phone was lying on the counter and he was in the shower. Just one quick look. That's all I planned. But then a text popped up. "Dr. Rachel Brosnahan. Last night was amazing. I can't wait to feel you inside me again. When are you leaving her?" My hands shook as I opened the message thread. There were hundreds of messages. They had been texting for 9 months, sharing private photos, making secret plans while I was busy taking Jessica to her piano lessons or helping the twins with schoolwork. Some of the messages were cruel jokes about me. Adam. She's planning some big anniversary surprise. Rachel.
Poor thing.
Still thinks there's something to celebrate. I felt sick. I quietly put the phone back where I found it. I made his coffee, like I always did. I kissed him goodbye as he left for work. Then I ran to the bathroom and threw up until there was nothing left in me but bitterness and heartbreak. That night, after the kids were asleep, I finally asked him the question in our bedroom. The same room where we had created our family. The room where we held each other during the heartbreak of miscarriages, where we turned to IVF, where he once comforted me when my dad passed away. Are you sleeping with Rachel Brosnahan? I asked. My voice was calm, even though my heart was pounding. Adam didn't even react. He calmly took off his watch and placed it on the nightstand. Yes, he said. For how long? I asked. Does it matter? He replied coldly. He looked at me with such emptiness that I barely recognized him. Then he added, I want a divorce, Linda. His words didn't come with guilt or sadness. They were cold and sharp, like a blade. It didn't feel like a confession. It felt like an execution. Why? I whispered. I've outgrown this life. Outgrown us, he said, waving his hand around the bedroom like it was a prison cell. I've given 16 years to this marriage, to the kids. I'm 46 now. If I'm going to start fresh, it has to be now. Start fresh, I said, shocked. We built this life together, Adam. Everything you are, everything I am, we built it side by side. He gave a bitter laugh. I save lives every day. What do you do, Linda? Bake cookies for school fundraisers? Sort my socks? I built this life despite being weighed down by the boring parts of it. His words hit me like punches. I had given up my own teaching career, so he could chase his dream of becoming a doctor. I ran the house, raised our children, and stood by him through everything. I hosted dinner parties and helped him connect with hospital leaders to help his career grow. You'll be taken care of financially, he continued, like we were just closing a deal. The kids will be fine. They always adjust. That night, he slept in the guest room. I lay awake, thinking about everything from the past 16 years, questioning if any of it was ever real. The next morning, he left early for work. On the kitchen counter, he had left a business card for his lawyer. The perfect life I thought we had was just an illusion. The cracks had been there all along. I was just too loyal to see them. What I didn't know then was that the lipstick and the affair were only the beginning. Adam's betrayal was far worse than I could ever imagine. And soon, I would uncover truths that would make the cheating seem small in comparison. The day after he left his lawyer's card, I made an appointment with Helen Slater, the toughest divorce lawyer in APT automation. I needed to know my rights and prepare for the fight ahead. Helen's first advice was simple and firm. Start documenting everything, Linda. Especially the money. That night, after putting the kids to bed and telling them, Daddy's just working late, I opened our home safe. Inside the safe were 16 years worth of financial documents, tax returns, investment papers, and property records. As I started going through them, I noticed things that didn't add up. It was like pulling on a loose thread and watching everything come undone. There were regular withdrawals from our joint savings account, $6,000, $8,000, even $11,000 at a time, all going to something called Riverside Holdings. There was no explanation and no record showing where the money ended up. Over the last 3 years, nearly $251,000 had disappeared. The next morning, I called our bank. The account manager didn't want to give much away at first, but finally confirmed what I feared. Riverside Holdings was a company registered only in Adam's name. That's where the money trail ended. Is this normal in divorces? I asked Helen at our next meeting. I slid the bank statements across her desk. Hiding money? Sadly, yes, she said, adjusting her reading glasses. But this pattern looks planned, something he's been doing for a while. Then Helen mentioned a name, Dr. Thierry Henry. He came up in another case, she explained. He used to work with your husband at Santurce Medical Mall. Left 4 years ago under odd circumstances. Might be worth talking to him. I remember Dr. Henry faintly, quiet and serious, always looking a little out of place at hospital events. Then one day, he just disappeared from the medical world. When I asked Adam about it back then, he brushed it off. Just professional differences, he'd said. Nothing important. It took me 6 phone calls to find Dr. Henry. He now worked at a small family clinic about 41 miles outside the city. His receptionist was cautious, but when I mentioned Adam's name, she quickly put me through. Mrs. Thompson. His voice was low and heavy, making my stomach twist. I've been expecting this call for years. We met at a coffee shop halfway between our homes. He looked older than I remembered, more wrinkles, gray hair, tired eyes. He ordered a plain black coffee and gave me a serious look, like a doctor examining a patient. I always knew this day would come, he said softly. I just didn't know who would break first, me, with my conscience, or Adam with his pride. Then, in the next hour, he told me something that destroyed what was left of my belief in Adam. The fertility clinic at Ashford had a serious problem, he began in a whisper. Some couples were having failed IVF treatments even though everything seemed perfect. He noticed strange differences in lab records. What was written down didn't match what had actually been done. My hands were shaking as I held my untouched coffee. We had gone through 3 rounds of IVF to have the twins. 2 more rounds for Jessica. Every time it failed, it crushed us. Every success felt like a miracle. I started looking into it quietly, Dr. Henry continued. The clinic director, Dr. Patrick, was changing test results, switching samples, and faking success rates to keep the clinic's reputation and funding strong. When I confronted him, he admitted something worse. Adam knew. Not just knew. He was part of it. I stared at him, frozen. That's not possible, I whispered. Adam wanted kids. We both did. Dr. Henry quietly slid a small USB drive across the table. These are hospital files, he said. Lab reports. Documents with Adam's signature. He approved changes to procedures. It's his way of saying he was involved in switching samples, including yours. My voice shook. Why would he do that? At first, it was about his career, Dr. Henry explained. Dr. Patrick was on the board that later made Adam chief of surgery. But, in your case, he paused. Adam has a genetic heart condition, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. It's mild for him, but there's a 60% chance it could be passed to his kids. A surgeon like Adam, always thinking about his reputation, didn't want to risk having children with a condition that could make him look careless or weak. His words hit me like a huge wave crashing down. I grabbed the edge of the table to stop myself from falling apart. So, during our IVF treatments, he made sure his sperm was never actually used. I asked. Dr. Henry nodded. They used anonymous donors instead. Adam planned everything. He knew exactly what he was doing. I left the coffee shop with a USB drive feeling heavy in my bag, like it was on fire. Dr. Henry also gave me the name of a trusted, private company that did DNA testing. That night, after the kids went to bed, I collected samples. Hair from their brushes, saliva from their toothbrushes. I even took a comb of Adam's from our bathroom, though he no longer used it. The 3-week wait for results felt endless. Meanwhile, Adam was rushing through the divorce. He asked for a custody evaluation, saying I was emotionally unstable and not fit to raise the kids. His lawyer sent cold, threatening letters, saying I hadn't really contributed much to the family and couldn't support the children on my own. They offered a deal that would barely cover basic living costs, a cruel trick to make me give up without a fight. But I kept going. I showed up for the twin science project. I clapped at Jessica's music recital. I smiled at drop-off time at school. When other moms asked about Adam, I just said, busy at the hospital. You know how it is. At night, I read everything I could about fertility fraud and medical ethics. I found heartbreaking stories. Doctors using their own sperm instead of donors, clinics mixing up embryos, families learning the truth decades later. But nothing like this. No story where a husband on purpose made sure his children weren't biologically his. a man who built a fake family and kept pretending he was their real father. Then the testing company called one Friday morning. The woman's voice was calm and professional. "We have your results, Mrs. Thompson. Would you like me to email them or discuss them over the phone?" "Email," I whispered. I needed to see it with my own eyes. The words in the report were cold and technical, but they crushed me all the same. The alleged father is excluded as the biological father of the tested children. The probability of paternity is 0%. I printed 4 copies. One for my lawyer, one for the safe deposit box I'd opened in my name only, and one copy I slipped into a cream-colored envelope with a Santurce Medical Mall logo, something I had taken from Adam's home office. During those weeks, when I was pretending nothing had changed, my hands had stopped shaking. The heartbreak had turned into something colder and stronger. This wasn't just about an affair or missing money. It was a deep betrayal, one that started even before our children were born. Adam had taken away my right to choose. He had built a huge lie that shaped my whole life, my role as a mother, and even our children's very existence. All while acting like the perfect man, the loving husband, the caring father, the brilliant doctor saving lives. The truth changed everything. And now, I had the power to make sure it changed everything for him too. Holding those DNA results, my sadness turned into a sharp, clear goal. Adam had lived a lie for 16 years. Now, I was going to take it all apart, one step at a time. I started by contacting other families who had also gone through IVF at Ashford while Adam was involved. Dr. Henry gave me a list of 28 couples who might have been affected. Most of them didn't want to talk. They couldn't bear the thought of questioning their children's origins. But 5 families agreed to meet. The Millers had twins who looked nothing like them. The Patels had a daughter with health issues that didn't match their family history. The Johnsons, Garcias, and Myers all had miracle pregnancies after several failed attempts, right after Dr. Patrick personally took over their cases. "We were just so thankful," Joyce Meyer said, tears rolling down her cheeks. "We never thought to ask how it finally worked." My search eventually led me to Lauren Alexis, a former nurse who worked at the Ashford Fertility Clinic for 13 years. We met at her small apartment outside the city. Her home was filled with old filing cabinets. "I kept everything," she said, her hands slightly shaking as she opened a leather notebook. Patient names, changes to procedures, signatures approving everything. They thought I got rid of it all when I left. "Why didn't you report them?" I asked. Lauren gave a sad smile. "I did. I told the hospital board, the medical ethics committee, even the police. But the investigations kept disappearing. Your husband has powerful friends, Mrs. Thompson." She showed me notes going back 9 years, carefully written records of switch samples, fake consent forms, and procedure changes. Adam's signature showed up again and again, approving changes in cases where there were genetic concerns. "And what about me?" I asked softly. Lauren flipped to a page marked with my name and the dates of our IVF treatments. There it was. Special instruction from Dr. Thompson. Specimen replacement authorized due to quality concerns. No donor ID recorded. I took photos of every page, every signature, every piece of proof. As I was getting ready to leave, Lauren handed me a business card. "Medical Ethics Investigation Unit," she said. "Ask for Agent Jones. Tell him I sent you." Jerry Jones worked for a special team that looked into healthcare fraud. He had been trying to build a case against Ashford for a year and a half, but the fertility clinic had been hard to break into. "Your evidence could be the key," he told me during our first meeting. "But we'll need more: financial documents showing illegal payments, proof of cover-ups, and someone on the inside willing to talk." I promised to get him what he needed, while still pretending to be just a woman going through a painful divorce. During mediation meetings, I smiled politely at Adam, agreed to temporary custody, and acted like I was thinking about his ridiculous financial offer. "You're being surprisingly reasonable, Linda," he said once after a tense meeting with our lawyers. "I just want what's best for the kids," I replied quietly. He grew more confident each time I gave in. At least, that's what it looked like. He started bringing Rachel to school events. He introduced her to our friends. He even let her stay overnight when the kids were at his new apartment downtown. All while I was collecting proof, recording conversations, taking pictures of documents, and carefully building my case. Things took an unexpected turn when I hired a private investigator to look into Rachel's past.
The report shocked me.
Rachel wasn't just Adam's coworker and girlfriend. She was Janet Brosnahan's daughter. Janet had been Adam's patient 6 years ago. It was supposed to be a simple heart valve surgery, but something went wrong. Adam was blamed for making a mistake, but the hospital said it wasn't his fault. They claimed Janet had forgotten to mention a medication that caused complications. But Agent Jones found the truth hidden in old records. Adam had been working with barely any sleep after spending the weekend with Rachel in Milwaukee. He made a mistake during surgery. The hospital covered it up. They changed the reports and paid off the family using Ashford's money. Janet's husband died a year later from stress and grief, leaving Rachel completely alone. She changed her last name, cut all ties to her past, and slowly got close to Adam, first as a coworker, then as his lover. Her revenge had been carefully planned for years.
Just like mine.
I thought about talking to her, maybe even asking if we could work together. But I chose not to. Rachel was driven by pain and emotion. I needed to stay focused, calm, and smart. Over the next month, I collected statements from former clinic employees. I followed the trail of money from Ashford to Riverside Holdings to secret overseas accounts. I got signed letters from patients whose treatments had been tampered with. Agent Jones worked on the legal case. I was building something else, something more personal. The complete destruction of Adam Thompson's perfect reputation. I even recorded one of our co-parenting talks, gently guiding the conversation toward the fertility treatments. "The twins have your eyes," I said casually. I mentioned it casually. "Good genes," I said. Adam, distracted by his phone, replied, "Yeah, good genes." Then I asked, "Do you ever wonder if the kids inherited your heart condition?" His head shot up. "What heart condition?" "Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Dr. Henry told me about it." Adam's face changed instantly. He looked angry. "Henry should keep his mouth shut about things that don't involve him. Don't you think our children's health does involve him? And me? There's nothing to worry about," he said quickly. "I had them tested years ago. They're fine." "You tested them without telling me?" I asked, shocked. "I'm their father and a doctor. I made a medical decision." The recording caught every word, Adam admitting he has the heart condition, that he had the kids tested without me knowing, and still pretending to be their biological father. It was the last piece Agent Jones needed. The timing couldn't have been better. Santurce Medical Mall's biggest event of the year was coming up, the annual gala. Adam had been chosen to receive the Physician of the Year award for his work in heart surgery and his supposed strong moral values. The invitation arrived at our house, still addressed to both of us, even though we were in the middle of a divorce. Adam texted that he would be taking Rachel as his date, but that I could still come if it wouldn't be too awkward. I replied with the perfect mix of grace and quiet pain. "I wouldn't miss it. You deserve the recognition." What Adam didn't know was that I had already met with the hospital board chairman. I had shown him parts of the evidence. A private meeting was scheduled right before the gala, where Agent Jones would present the full case against Adam, Dr. Patrick, and the fertility clinic. As I picked out my dress, a sleek black gown that Rachel once joked about in a text to Adam, calling it "suburban mom trying too hard," I received another message. Adam and Rachel were planning to celebrate at Vincenzo's after the event. Our special restaurant. The same place where Adam proposed to me 16 years ago. It was the perfect final touch to everything I had carefully planned. The envelope with the DNA results was ready. The legal team was prepared. Every detail had been thought through. For the first time in months, I felt completely calm. I knew what I had to do. Adam had spent 16 years building a lie. Tomorrow night, the truth would finally come out. The night of the Ashford Gala arrived with perfect dramatic timing. Storm clouds filled the sky, but the rain held off. The air was heavy with tension. I walked into the hotel ballroom alone, wearing the black dress Adam once said made me look like I was trying too hard. My hair was pinned up. The diamond earrings, once a gift from a husband who didn't exist anymore, caught the light as I entered. I walked through the crowd of top doctors and hospital staff. I spotted Adam right away near the stage, confidently talking with people, his arm wrapped tightly around Rachel's waist. She was wearing bright red, the exact shade of lipstick that had started this chain of discoveries. Board members gathered around them, laughing at Adam's jokes and complimenting Rachel. They looked like the perfect couple. Everything about them screamed success. What they didn't know was that just 40 minutes earlier, a secret board meeting had ended. I had watched from a small side room as Agent Jones showed all the evidence: bank records, statements from former patients, and Lauren Alexis's careful notes. The board's faces changed slowly from doubt to shock, then to serious concern. The hospital's legal team had already called the district attorney. But Adam didn't know any of this. As he smiled and accepted praise for the award he was about to receive, he had no idea that police officers were waiting by every exit. He didn't know that the life he had built on lies was about to fall apart. I moved through the room quietly, nodding and chatting with the other wives, women who had always seen me as just Adam's quiet, supportive wife. "So brave of you to be here tonight," whispered Cheryl Hines, the wife of the chief of surgery. Her voice was kind, but her eyes kept glancing toward Adam and Rachel. "I wouldn't miss watching Adam get the recognition he deserves," I said with a polite smile, one that made her shift uncomfortably. The awards ceremony went ahead as planned. The hospital board chair, Dr. Madison Slater, had decided it would be more powerful to expose Adam in public rather than have him arrested quietly. Adam walked up to the stage to loud applause, holding the crystal trophy like a true professional. "Medicine isn't just about science," he said into the microphone. "It's about trust between a doctor and a patient. Ethics must guide every decision, every step, every moment in the operating room." I watched Rachel as he spoke. There was a slight stiffness in her shoulders. She looked proud, but I could tell it was an act. Just like the one I had played for 16 years, but for a very different reason. At one point, our eyes met from across the room. For a second, we understood each other. We were two women who truly knew the real Adam Thompson. After the ceremony, Adam and Rachel headed to Vincenzo's, just like they had planned. 30 minutes later, I followed, holding the cream-colored envelope tightly in my purse. The restaurant looked exactly the same. White tablecloths, warm lighting, and soft Italian music playing in the background. The maitre d' smiled the moment he saw me. "Mrs. Thompson, what a lovely surprise. Your husband said you might be joining them." Either Adam was overly confident or hoping to embarrass me in public. Either way, it worked perfectly with my plan. They were sitting at our favorite table by the window. Adam had already ordered a bottle of 1980 Bordeaux, the same wine we drank on our anniversary 6 years ago. That one bottle cost more than a month's worth of groceries for our kids. Adam saw me first. His face shifted from surprise to a smug grin. It was obvious Adam thought I had come to beg or make a scene. Rachel looked at me with that fake kind of polite concern, her perfect face calm and controlled. "Linda," Adam said in that familiar, smug voice he'd mastered. "This is unexpected." "Is it?" I replied calmly as I walked up to their table. "You told the maitre d' I might join you." "That was just a courtesy," he said. "I didn't think you'd actually show up." Rachel shifted in her seat, clearly uncomfortable. "Maybe I should give you two a moment." "Please stay," I said, looking her straight in the eye. "You've earned your place at this table, Rachel. Or should I say, Rachel Brosnahan." Her face went pale. Adam frowned. "What are you talking about?" "Rachel knows," I said, not taking my eyes off her. "She's the daughter of Janet Brosnahan, the woman who died after a surgery you messed up, Adam. The same surgery you performed after coming back from a weekend in Milwaukee with her daughter." Adam turned to Rachel, realization slowly hitting him. "Is that true?" She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Her silence said everything. While they sat stunned, I placed the cream-colored envelope on the table. "Congratulations on your freedom," I said quietly. "I think you'll want to read this." Adam's hand shook slightly as he opened the envelope and pulled out the DNA test results. I watched his face change, first confused, then shocked, and finally horrified. "This can't be true," he whispered. "Isn't it?" I said calmly. You made sure your sperm was never used during our IVF treatments. You faked records. You lied to me for 16 years about our children, about everything. Rachel looked from the paper to Adam, stunned. What is she talking about? Nothing, Adam snapped, trying to act in control again. Linda's making up stories because she can't handle the divorce. Then I'm sure you won't mind explaining this to the hospital board, I said, turning slightly toward the restaurant entrance, where Dr. Slater and several board members stood beside Agent Jones. Or to the district attorney. Or to our kids. Adam's face twisted with rage. You vindictive. Choose your next words carefully. Agent Jones cut in, stepping forward. Dr. Adam Thompson, he said clearly, you're under arrest for medical fraud, financial crimes, and violations under the Medical Practice Act. The restaurant went completely silent as Jones read him his rights. Rachel sat frozen in place, her own plans for revenge overshadowed by something much bigger than she had ever imagined. You planned all this, Adam hissed at me as the officer put handcuffs on him. All those months pretending to be the sad, helpless ex-wife. You had 16 years to live your lie, Adam, I said quietly. I only needed 4 months to bring it down. As they led him away, Rachel stayed at the table, staring into her half-finished glass of wine. I didn't know about the kids, she said softly.
I believe you, I said.
Your mother deserved justice, too. In the weeks that followed, the story spread everywhere from medical journals to national news. Adam was charged with several serious crimes. His medical license was taken away while he waited for trial. The fertility clinic was shut down for a full investigation. Dozens of families came forward, looking for answers about their children's biological backgrounds. The financial fallout was quick and massive. All of Adam's hidden accounts were frozen. The court brought in a financial expert who tracked every dollar he had secretly moved. A trust was set up using that money to secure our children's future. After Adam's first court appearance, Dr. Henry came to speak with me. Ashford is starting an ethics review committee for their fertility services once they reopen, he said. They've asked me to lead it. Congratulations, I said, truly meaning it. Actually, I suggested we lead it together, he added. Your voice would bring an important perspective. The offer surprised me. For 16 years, I had only been seen as Linda Thompson, the surgeon's loyal wife. My identity had been buried under Adam's career, his plans, his image. Now, I was being invited to step forward as myself. 7 months after the gala, I sat across from Rachel at a different restaurant. Somehow, during the legal battles, we had formed an unexpected connection. 2 women fooled and used by the same man, but for different reasons. Do you regret it? She asked me. Telling everyone the truth? One day, the kids will know. I thought about her question. They'll find out that how they came into the world isn't what we believed, I said. But that doesn't change who they are, or how much I love them. Yes, their lives began with lies, but I chose the truth. Even if it hurts, it's better than pretending. That night, I watched my children sleep peacefully in the home we were able to keep, despite Adam trying to make us leave. And what I felt wasn't revenge or pride. It was freedom. The image of a perfect family had fallen apart, but what was left was something real. I was no longer trapped in someone else's carefully built lie. For the first time in 16 years, I was writing my own story, messy, imperfect, and completely mine.